No intro for this video. I'm going to be raw, explicit, and say whatever comes to my mind. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Jacksonville Jaguars today on Monday Night Football, nationally televised Monday Night Football in Jacksonville, 34-31 in overtime. The Bengals are without starting quarterback Joe Burrow, and Jake Browning finds a way to put up over 300 yards of passing offense on this Jaguars secondary, and the Jaguars fall flat on their face. The Jaguars had everything to play for. The Jaguars were sitting with a record of 8-3. They could have taken a 2-game lead in the AFC South, and they could have been the #1 seed in the AFC after this game. They could have won the AFC had they won out the rest of this season, and the Jaguars fall flat on their face. Plain and simple. Now, I'm going to address Trevor Lawrence in a few minutes here, because I have no injury updates. I have no status on it. I know as much information as you know, as you're probably watching this video right after the game. Now, when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals, let me just say, with their fan base, I've got no animosity towards them. I've got no hatred towards their fan base, their team, their coaches, their players. They're very similar to the Jaguars in a lot of different ways. A great young and up-and-coming team that has found a way to rose to the top, This is a fan base and a team that has suffered essentially my entire 22 years on this earth, just like the Jaguars. And guess what? The Bengals, they found their franchise quarterback. They've had success, and they're making deep postseason runs. They have expectations, just like the Jaguars now. The Jaguars found their franchise quarterback. They have a real coach. They have expectations, and they are both two elite competitive teams in the AFC. So I've got nothing towards the Bengals. And when it comes to this game, I got to give just props to the Bengals. I'm not going to harp on the refs for a very questionable no call on Calvin Ridley with that pass interference that should have honestly been called, but I'm not going to blame the refs for that. The Jaguars played a porous game. I'm also not going to blame the refs for a pretty bad Anton Harrison holding call in which CJ Beathard threw a beautiful ball down the field to Calvin Ridley, who got it within the 5-yard line in overtime, and it was called back. I'm not going to blame the refs for that. Am I saying that those calls were perfect? No, they were not. Or those no calls? No, I'm not. But the Jaguars got their asses handed to them today. Plain and simple. So I'm not going to blame the refs. I'm not going to sit here and harp on that when the Jaguars should have played better. I'm going to give props to the Cincinnati Bengals for coming down to Jacksonville and whooping our ass. It's plain and simple. Jake Browning played a hell of a game. I believe he started the game off 10 of 11, 11 of 12, something around that numbers. Jamar Chase had a couple bubble screens to get himself going early before he absolutely obliterated our defense. Tyson Campbell probably played the worst game of his career, but when you talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, they got the running game going, something that wasn't going for them against Pittsburgh. Zach Taylor had this offense humming. Regardless if it was Joe Burrow with a broken hand, or a hand injury in general, or Jake Browning out there, he had this offense humming, and you give credit to them. I'm not taking anything away from them. They came in, they played a great game, and look, maybe the outcome of this game would have been different had Trevor Lawrence not gotten hurt, which I will address. But at the end of the day, I give props where it's due. The Bengals fans, give you guys props. I got no animosity towards you guys. Now talking about the Jaguars. The Jaguars offense was pretty up and down, right? The Jaguars offense had things moving. They had their opportunities. Calvin Ridley had an opportunity, and the Jaguars failed to capitalize. And this is all with Trevor Lawrence out there on the field. They had their opportunities. Trevor Lawrence was doing some things. He was throwing some dots, making passes in some tight windows. Zay Jones had a great game. Evan Ingram had a great game. Calvin Ridley was underwhelming, but you know what? He had his opportunities as well too. Christian Kirk gets hurt on the first offensive play. Trey Herndon gets hurt on the defensive side of the ball. Walker Little gets hurt, and Trevor Lawrence gets hurt. When it rains, it pours. And that's honestly felt like what it's been like for the Jaguars all season. Despite an 8-4 record, it's felt like when it rains, it pours. And for the Jaguars defense, just got obliterated, just got their asses handed to them. And like I said, you just give credit to Zach Taylor and that offense for what they were able to do. Rayshon Jenkins is not wrapping up. He's not tackling properly. Tyson Campbell probably played the worst game of his career, or the worst game since the beginning of his rookie season. I was just disgusted by his performance. Darius Williams had a pretty solid game. Josh Allen was going in there. He was wreaking havoc in the backfield. He had that interception. He's in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. Foye Oluokun had a great game. Outside of that, the Jaguars defense had no rhythm, no consistency, and they were getting picked apart all evening long in front of their own fans. They should be ashamed of themselves after that performance. It's one thing to lose, and it's one thing to lose in the fashion in which the way you lost. And I'm sorry if I'm stuttering. I'm just rambling off the top of my head. Now, let me just get into Trevor Lawrence, okay? Because I'm done talking about how pathetic that Jaguars defense was, how inconsistent that Jaguars offense was when it came to moving the ball, even though I thought for a majority of the game they did an okay job. And you obviously got C.J. Beathard thrusted in there. Let me talk about Trevor Lawrence. First of all, my head, my heart is with Trevor Lawrence. I hope he's okay. That ankle, when Walker Little came down on his ankle, and you could just see the frustration on him. The pictures and the videos of him walking off the field, getting escorted into, the x-ray room, the locker room, just devastated is what I am, what Jaguar fans are, what the Jaguars fan base is, and what the NFL community is feeling, man. This year has just been horrible when it comes to NFL quarterbacks getting injured. Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones. The list goes on. Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence now. There's probably a handful of other quarterbacks I didn't list out there because there's been so many this season. And look, if Trevor Lawrence is done, the Jaguar season's over. I don't need to sugarcoat it. It is. And I really hope that this is just a minor injury. I hope that this is something that Trevor Lawrence can get throughout the week. He can heal, he can process, and really get all the physical therapy that he needs. But at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence is what this team is all about. And without him, this team is going nowhere. The Jaguars are already going to have to fight for a position for that number one seed in the AFC. They were already going to have to fight in the postseason to make a deep postseason run. And it was going to be on the shoulders of number 16, the Prince, Jacksonville's Jesus, Trevor Lawrence. And without him, this Jaguars team is just derailed. Just absolutely derailed. And I give a lot of credit to C.J. Beathard for coming in there, being resilient, putting the team on his shoulders, and really trying to make something out of nothing. He had his opportunities, he had his moments, and he really put the team on his back. But he has his limitations, he has his restrictions. And everybody knows a franchise quarterback like Trevor Lawrence with the talent and the capabilities that he has, this Jaguars team is not going anywhere without him. I hope and I pray and I just hope, for the sake of my sanity, for the sake of Trevor Lawrence and his health and his well-being, and the sake of my fan base and this team and this city, that he is okay. That's as much as I can say right now, because I don't know the extent of his injury. I don't know how severe it is, or if he could potentially come back from this in a week or two. I just hope that he is okay. That's honestly all that I'm going to say for this video. I'm just devastated. I'm not happy. I'm not sad. I'm just worried. Worried is the key word right now. I'm on edge. I'm on edge and I'm nervous. Words can't describe what I'm feeling right now. That's it. That's all I want to say. Bengals fans, congratulations on the win. You guys are cool. I have no animosity towards you guys. Best of luck to you guys the rest of the season. Maybe you guys squeak into the wild card round. I think that would be phenomenal for you guys and for us Jaguars fans. Just please pray for us, man. We're just going through it. It just feels like as soon as we got to the top, man, it all came crumbling down, and I'm hurting very, very much right now too, and I know a lot of you guys are too. So Jaguar fans, just keep your heads up. Kings, queens, brothers, sisters, just keep your heads up, and let's just try to get on with this week, man. Let's put this game behind us, and let's get ready for Cleveland. Trevor Lawrence, I hope you're okay, man. We're all thinking and praying about you, man. Just please get better, and that's it, Jags fans. Thank you.